Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Shadow of the Colossus playthrough. We are into the final quarter of the game, and I mean, as you can already tell, the plot is beginning to ramp up a little bit. We've got people coming to stop, as one would assume, and yeah, we're about to get some pretty spectacular Colossi as we rush towards the finale of this story. And actually, I am completely and utterly in love with the Colossi that we are going to face today. It's just... it is easily my favourite by a country mile. And I don't know why exactly that is. I think it's because it's a very good example of what makes this game so kind of spectacular. It's got those sort of elements of challenge in it. It's got just phenomenal music throughout it, and it's just a lot of fun. Challenging as well, but definitely a lot of fun. And I think it's the one Colossi that I think most people would point to when they say which is your favourite Colossi in the game. I think it's the case for a lot of people, and I think it is the case for very similar reasons. Which is great, because then that just means that it's... I suppose it's one of those things that's just quite nice to be able to quantify, in a way, because obviously what a lot of people do is you end up with people with very, very varying different types of opinions on things. But for the most part, the viewpoints on the Colossi are pretty pretty fixed, I think, for most people, from what I can tell anyway. Like, this particular Colossi turns up quite regularly in lists of favourite Colossi. I think Avian turns up quite a few times as well, and I think generally, what's his face? Bassaran, Phaedra, and probably Dirge all end up generally sitting much lower down in the list. But this one, pretty high up there, and yeah, I just love it to pieces. And I think I got a little bit confused in trying to figure out exactly where I was going. It's not too difficult to find the location of this next Colossi, because you've pretty much crossed that area a couple of times, I think, by this point. Because you got to get to this deserty area, and then you pretty much just sort of head left. And if you run towards the middle of the area, then you will unlock the fight. There's a sort of little platformy thing there, which is a good sort of hallmark, and that should launch the fight. You can see I just wanted to get to this one straight away, and I'm so glad I did, because it's such a fun fight. So yes, this is Phalanx, or Phalanx, however you want to kind of go about pronouncing it. And yeah, I just love this fight so much. I mean, music is just perfect throughout. You've got silence while Phalanx is just flying around the desert, and whilst you're on the ground, once you have hit all three of its sort of gas bladders, you'll get in awe of the power. And then as soon as you manage to get on top of Phalanx, you'll get counterattack, and it's just a sort of perfect stretch throughout all of them. And yeah, this is just a lot of fun because you're really getting to use aggro, use the bow and arrow, and it's just a really exciting thing to go through. Because I mean, you have to use aggro for this because it's the only way that you're able to jump up, or at least keep up to speed with Phalanx and get up on top of it. And yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, particularly in terms of jumping off and on to Phalanx, but it's just really satisfying once you actually do manage it. And then it's a case of going and stabbing it. Yeah, it's just so much fun. I mean, yeah, just this song and just this whole thing. You've got this giant colossi flying through the sky, 3 weak points dotted along its back, so you have to run along. It's the same reason that I think Avion was so exciting, but this is sort of on an even grander scale in terms of the size of the colossi. And you kind of move side to side, he'll roll, and it's just brilliant. And he's actually definitely the longest of all the colossi, being an estimated 557 feet or 169.8 meters long, with a wingspan of 200 feet across, which is insane. It is possible to hit all of his sigils in one cycle, but it's easier said than done. You've got to be very quick. And clearly I am not fast enough, but it's okay, because I'm quite happy to sit in this fight for quite a while, because it's just such a joy. So, I'm not quite sure why they decided to call this particular Colossus Phalanx. Because a Phalanx is an ancient military formation with troops in sort of a close array, so kind of keep together. I mean, I suppose this particular journal thing suggests that that might be in reference to Phalanx's sort of many segments, but I'm not 100% sure. The Latin name is a bit more effective because it's Aeris Velivolus, which doesn't translate to an exact phrase, but Aeris means of the atmosphere, so sort of, I suppose, gas in a way, and Velivolus is an adjective that means flying with sails. So it's that whole talking about the gas bladders and the sail-like wings, which are just awesome. And its designation is the Air Sailor, so I suppose that is how that fits in quite nicely. Yeah, I don't think I will ever be the best with the bow and arrow. Not by a long shot. But I think one of the reasons why this fight ends up being a lot more fun than, say, Dirge, for me anyway, is because since Phalanx is the most peaceful of the Colossi, you don't have to worry about trying to target the eye and get killed in the run of it, because that just adds sort of unnecessary stress that is just unpleasant, in my view anyway. Whereas this, it really feels like you're taking on this great behemoth, and it's kind of struggling to know how to deal with you, and it just puts you in that bit of control. And because you are more in control of the situation, it just feels that bit more enjoyable to me. I suppose potentially it's partially that thing of sometimes you just want a sort of easy ride, and not necessarily easy as in the this is just sort of letting you win, but easy in the sense of you get to look more at the spectacle of the moment than you do have to worry, well, rather than having to worry about how you're fighting and how you're going to survive. Because I think sometimes in situations like this you just want that spectacle, that catharsis of all the sort of pent-up frustration that you may have gained from some of the earlier fights. And I was really determined that I was going to try and two-cycle him. It's not going to happen. I thought I might be able to do it, but they're just... I don't think that Phalanx wanted to play ball with me on this one. I mean, look, I was so close I got to the bloody thing, I just couldn't stab him. But I suppose I do feel bad about killing Phalanx, because he is just such a peaceful Colossi. Does nothing to you until you... well, doesn't even do anything to you when you're just running on his back. He just tries to shake you off, and you do feel bad. You really do. But yeah, it's also... you probably noticed it in the last Colossi, but it's still very noticeable here, is that as you progress through the game, Wanda, like, progressively struggles to get up after being knocked down. It takes him longer and longer as the game progresses, obviously as his body becomes more and more corrupted. And you can probably see it a little bit more on his character model now-ish, in terms of he's definitely a lot paler and a lot veinier than he was when we first began. But yes, this should be our final challenge with Phalanx. I don't think he's going to last that much longer. And I'm quite impressed with that shot that I made. I thought it was just like one of those instances of just going, oh, did I actually hit it from that distance? I was quite impressed with myself on that one. But yes, there we go. It's the last gas bladder dealt with, and now it is time to get up on Phalanx for the final time. Although, I mean, it's not fun when that happens, because you're just like, oh god, should have been a bit higher up, because, I mean, he obviously can knock you off if you don't get high enough. And then there was a moment where I was just like, oh god, I need to get onto you now, Phalanx. I can't have not got this in sort of your standard cycle. That would have been quite embarrassing. Because most people obviously defeat Phalanx in a grand total of 3 cycles. But yeah, that's pretty much how you would get that, like 1 or 2 cycles through Phalanx, is making sure that you just jump up to the top and run. It gives you just that bit more time in order to run across his body. But with this, and the final few attacks, Phalanx is defeated. I'm so sorry, Phalanx. You were just such a wonderful Colossi, and I will truly miss you.